Hi, everyone. This is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. Happy Campers started again on June 1st. So one of the things that I was talking to the group about this week, and I plan to talk to them throughout the month about, are the writing questions we have, both big and small. I kind of tapped into this also on Instagram this Tuesday in the Let's Talk Tuesday post, where I asked everybody, what's your writing struggle? But really what I'm looking for when I'm asking fellow writers this in community is what is the thing that you want to engage in conversation with fellow writers? You found your writing community, either on Instagram and you're having conversations there in comments or on Facebook, or you are in, a community like the Happy Campers Club, and we're having weekly conversations face to face surrounding our writing, whether it's our personal goals at the moment, the project that we're working on, or just writing in general. So here you are, here's your moment. What's the question you have? And Jackie Dana, who's in the Happy Campers Club, had said, I feel like, I don't know if everybody's asking these questions. And I said, when we started the Happy Campers Club over a year ago now, those types of conversations were happening so naturally. And I don't know if I called out and asked people to do it or if everybody just felt comfortable right away. But somewhere along the line, it got away from us. So, had to put the teacher hat back on and say, okay, I am now asking you to ask your questions. And it was really, really interesting today. Well, the day I'm recording this is Wednesday night. Wednesday is our chat day on Happy Campers Club. Happy Campers Club has, different types of meetings every single day of the week. Monday, we try to focus on what our goals are and, what we've accomplished. Tuesday is all for writing. We do write-ins all day. Wednesday is the day where we just have our casual chat, and that's really the space for these types of conversations. And, I know better. I know that you have to tell people, now's your moment to say something. But it was really fantastic that the moment I asked everybody, it's like the floodgates open and all of the little things came up. One Happy Camper was saying, like, I really want to have a conversation about description, about when is it, what is too much? What is enough? What is too little? That is the thing that she's dealing with right now in her current project. This is a great discussion. It's a great discussion to have at any point in our writing. Another person in the group was saying the whole passive voice thing. In our last iteration of Happy Campers, we started doing critique partnerships, and so she was, the conversation kept coming up. I think it was Al that first mentioned the passive voice in our Facebook group, but then it came up again in our chat. And, he was saying, as we did the various critiques, it seemed to be a consistent theme with many of us that passive voice was in our early drafts. And, what's the conversation around that? Where do we look for it? When do we tell ourselves to cut it out? Because one of the things I was saying just in our brief conversation today was I permit myself to write in passive voice in my first draft, not because I love passive voice, but instead because I know that it is oftentimes, regrettably, my default when I'm writing, or speaking my mind or what have you. I'm always, finding my way back to a passive stance. And if I overthink when I'm drafting, like that was passive, I have to change that, I'll never get my story out. So I've gotten to the point where I allow myself to sort of write in that voice and know when it's revision time. Like, that's almost always the first thing I gotta seek out and destroy before moving forward. So that's another, for some people, that's the big writing question. How do I deal with passive voice? For other people, it's that little irksome thing. Like, how do I keep dealing with passive voice? And I say big or little writing questions because it really depends on where you are in your writing expertise, your experience. And for somebody, it's one of those things that, like, the question that is the big, heavy problem that I've been dealing with forever, it might be something that's quite simple for somebody else. So I'm loving opening the door to all of these questions. I'm trying to think of some of the other topics that came up. How do you keep writing when life is just piling on you? How do you face the page when everything else is pulling at you? I mean, that, to me, that's one of the real biggies, right? That I think every writer has to deal with. Maybe not every writer has to deal with it on a consistent basis, but I feel like every writer has to deal with that at least once or twice. Working on short stories and, different lengths, and how do you approach a short story? Do you write something big and then cut it down? Or do you start small? And it's another great conversation. Formatting dialogue. This is something that I think a lot of new writers deal with in the beginning. So a conversation there on, what are the rules? Because I think, and that was one of the things that I struggled with in the beginning. I don't remember what it was. It's so great. It's so great that it's so far behind me that I don't remember what it was that I struggled with. I think maybe it was like I just wasn't putting enough dialogue tags or something, that it, was reading almost like a script, and it's like, who said what, Nicole? You're killing me here. But whatever it is, lots of people have different things that they do when they first start writing. And I think part of the reason is because as readers, all of the stuff that makes dialogue comprehensible is almost invisible. We don't necessarily really notice dialogue tags. We don't notice that the comma's inside the quotes instead of outside the quotes, for us here in the States. Or every time it's an internal thought, it's italics. Oh, okay. So those are things that I think make for great conversations. And then one of the really great conversations that we actually dove into today was a question from one of the campers about how the heck do I deal with flashbacks? And, the advice is very similar across the board. Like, try not to use them, kind of like dreams, right? Try not to use them if you don't have to. But there are some stories where you have to, right? So it's just part of what's going on in your story. So how do you deal with it? So we had a great conversation about that. But I wanted to just bring this up to you today, as I said at the beginning of the episode, because I want to give you all permission to ask your big and small writing questions when you're in community. And if you don't have your in-person writing community, or you haven't joined, a virtual writing community like the Happy Campers or something similar, then come on over to the Stop Writing Alone Facebook group and ask there. These are great spaces. Or any, another great writing group on Facebook is Scribblers. That's the one that is associated with the Scribbler box, that subscription box for writers. But I notice a lot of writers are asking questions there. I just want you to recognize that if you're in a safe space, because I will say I'm also in Facebook groups where people ask questions and then the answers, the responses are very snarky for beginning level writers. And it grates on me. It really grates on me because I'm all about people asking questions. I guess it's that teacher in me. It's like, there is no bad question. So, but yeah, I know Scribblers is a safe space where people ask. There's lots of writers at all different levels. And so when people ask questions, the other writers that are there for it, and they're ready to respond in kind. And I've found the same with Stop Writing Alone, and I'm there in Stop Writing Alone. So like, I'm not going to do that to you, but also I've found that the people in our community are the same way. So yeah, big and little questions, all valid, all need to be asked. That's why I think it grates on me when somebody is snarky about a question, because if you have the question within you, you've got to ask it. Otherwise, you're just not going to get past that thing. So yeah, let's hear them. What are your big and little, or whatever size, writing questions? Is it a struggle? Is it something that comes up in your writing all the time? Is it about process? Maybe it's not about the actual writing. It's about story structure. We actually had a conversation today about, when to apply a story structure, like something like Save the Cat, especially for those of us who are pantsers. It's like, okay, I'm really just trying to get my way through the story. Is there a point where you're writing and you say, well, maybe I should stop and try to write an outline now? It works for some people. Some people need to do it before they get started. Some people, might use it in the middle. I like to use it after I have a draft to sort of see where I'm at. But yeah, you see, I can ramble on about all these things. So I should just stick to the point of, what are your questions? I want to hear them. Either put them in the Facebook group, the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group, or you can DM me on Instagram. This is the one thing I don't like about Instagram. It's like you guys can't write to me on Instagram in any sort of public forum unless I ask a question on the Facebook itself. I mean, on the Instagram itself. So, yeah, so those are some spaces. And of course, you could always email me if you have a question that you think I can answer for you. The only other thing that I wanted to mention this week, well, two things. One is that I interviewed Kim Floden earlier this year, right before she launched her Wise Words of the Woods, the book club that she was doing, where we were reading the Wim Hof book. And I recommended it, and I joined the group because it was like one of my pillars of self-care is doing all of these different things. Well, we finally wrapped on that. We've been doing the breathing and the cold showers and everything like that. It's been really, really fascinating. But I know that Kim is working now on her next book club, which is on a Byron Katie book. And so I wanted to just let you know that if you didn't get in on the Wim Hof book and you were intrigued by Kim, and I do believe in the last episode that I interviewed her, we did even talk about Byron Katie there. So if that was something that was intriguing to you, go check out her website again, and I'll put her link in the show notes so that you can be in the loop for when we start reading that book, because I'm really looking forward to that. Like I said, Kim has been telling me about Byron Katie and the work of Byron Katie pretty much the entire time that I've known her, and she's taking me through various exercises. But also in my experience of reading Martha Beck's book with Sam Kimberly's book club, we read Steering by Starlight. Martha Beck is very into the work of Byron Katie. Right now I'm reading Martha Beck's new book, The Way of Integrity, and Byron Katie's coming up again. So I keep saying to Kim, like, you gotta educate me on all this stuff, because some really powerful stuff. So that's number one. Check out the show notes for the link so that you can sign up for the emails and make sure that you are if it's something you're interested in, that you're in the know about that. The other thing is the Happy Campers is on for this 1 month for June. I got started really, really late in doing signups and everything. Last week's episode was like finding a way back in because I just could not get my act together in getting my head screwed back on after a family getaway. And one of the balls that I dropped that I was juggling was setting up the signups for the Happy Campers Club. So here we are, 1 week into June, almost a full week done. And it's the first time I'm telling you here on the Stop Writing Alone podcast that it's going on right now and that you can sign up if you're interested. So since I got started so late, the Happy Campers Club, the 1 month would be $300 typically. But I just decided I'm just going to chop off 1 week's worth. And so everybody that signed up got the price of $225, whether they started on June 1st or they're starting, if you hear this today and you want to start now, you can start now. But I will say space is limited. I cannot make Happy Campers bigger than what it was in March and April. And even that is kind of pushing it. That was 15 people. Right now, if I include myself in the count, which I should because I participate with everybody as well, we are at 11 Happy Campers. So at the time of this recording, we are at 11. So that means there's 4 slots left. So I will be closing Happy Campers if we reach the 15. And even if we don't reach the 15, I will be closing it on Monday, June 7th. I just want to have, the first full week, just everybody in, and we're just going to move forward. But right now, if you're listening when this goes live, there are spots and there is time to still sign up. Now, if you hear this too late, if you missed the boat, if this is not the right time, that's not the right price, if you're not interested in doing anything right in this moment, or you're like, hello, Nicole, I need a little bit more of a heads up. I totally get that. Then Happy Campers will be back in the fall. I will be taking off the summer to spend with family, especially now that we can all get out and about and like live normally. So in the fall, there will be a new iteration of the Happy Campers Club. So just make sure you're on the Stop Writing Alone email list, and you'll find out when that comes back. And then you can sign up then. But the same rules will apply, that I will not be having more than 15 people in Happy Campers then as well. So just throwing that all out there for you. The link for the sign up will be in the show notes for the Happy Campers as well. And we have a great group so far. These couple of days that we've had of discussions have been fantastic. And you can listen to my previous episodes on like what Happy Campers Club is and how wonderful it is, and hear from previous campers. I will not bore you with all the details right now, except to say it is 5 days a week of live Zoom calls, and we do goal setting, we do writing, we do chatting, we do critique now, and we have writing problem parties. That's it in a nutshell, and that happens every single week, and it's a lot, and it's wonderful. And if it makes sense for you, it's here. Doors open right now. Otherwise, I'm here every single week, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm also on YouTube every single week, every Friday for Friday Night Writes, at the NV Rivera YouTube channel. And you can always find me futzing around on Instagram at Stop Writing Alone, and over in Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. So there's thousands of ways to connect with me, to tell me your big and little writing questions, so that we can get discussing them either face-to-face in something like Happy Campers, or digitally in social media, or perhaps you will just ask me your big or little question and I can address it here on the Stop Writing Alone podcast. Either way, there are simply no excuses left. If you have a question, it's time for you to ask it. Have a wonderful week. Happy writing. And thank you, as always, for listening. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter where I'm at NV_Rivera to find links to our email newsletter.